Hello, welcome to a video on handling refunds. In this video, we're going to talk about two scenarios. You have an expense that you've incurred and you'd like to refund part or all of that expense. How do you record that? And the second situation is you incurred revenue or you earned revenue and your customer, you're going to give them part or all a refund on their invoice. So let's take a look at those two scenarios in this video. Okay, let's take a look at something you've bought and you're going to refund it. So, for example, let's take a look at this printer paper that we bought for $50 on our credit card. And let's say you decided to bring it back for a refund. How do you record that? Well, I suppose you could just simply delete it, and that would be one way of handling it if you didn't want any record of the purchase in your bookkeeping. Or the other way to do it, which is probably the more proper way to do it, so you're accounting for every transaction one way or another, is to add an item to this transaction. We're going to make that item a refund item. So let's take a look at that. So we have a Visa transaction for office supplies, and so we're going to add an item to this that is a general business office supply, and it's a Visa item, and we can call it refund or refund paper. You can type in a description if you want, or if it's on the pre-written description list, I just chose it like that. And you can see we had a $50 item, so we're going to put in a minus 50 and then on the right side you can see that the result. We've got the initial transaction. We can click on it to see it. We've got the refund of a minus after tax. Before tax is $47.62, and it's $50 after tax with a minus sign. So that's the important thing when you're doing a refund like this. Make a minus sign. It's like a negative expense, right? So then you see the total is zero, taxes are zero, and the net is zero. So this is certainly one way to handle this. Now, the only disadvantage of this method is that you're using one date for both entries. And I suppose if you did the refund within a short time of each other, this would still be sufficient way to do this. If you didn't want to do it this way and you wanted to have it as a separate date, then here I could just save it and we're done. But if we didn't want to do it that way, instead of doing this as an extra item on this entry, we do a brand new entry from scratch. And you actually duplicate the entry you've got here, but you're making a brand new entry so you can make a new date, and you put the minus sign in front of the 50 to record the refund. Let me show you how that works. Let's cancel out of this. And let's say we have a general expense. It's going to be office supplies, and it's going to be a refund, and it's going to be a minus 50. And of course, we're going to change the date. So we refunded, let's say 5 days later. Click outside that, and it's a minus 50. And you can see on the right side what it's doing a minus entry. And now you've actually created an entry with a negative value to offset the printer paper refund. And probably what you should do here is reference the original invoice number, for example. So if I put in here refund invoice 123, and if I had recorded the initial entry as printer paper invoice 123, then of course if you ever wanted to look back on that invoice number, you could see it here. Just type in 123 in your search. You can see the two entries, and it actually zeroes it out. So anyway, that's just one way to double check your work. So there's really three methods to record a refund. You could just simply delete the entry with the little trash can. You could do the entry as a secondary entry just to offset it within the same date, or set it up as two separate entries like this. So that's how you handle something that you've refunded as an expense. Now, when it comes to refunding a customer the revenue, it's really very much the same. If your customer, if you made a sale and you want to refund that sale, of course you could delete the original entry. Here's a business income amount for $2,000, let's say. Or you can record a partial or full refund as a secondary item. So you can choose add another item to this. It's business income checking. So we could say, yeah, let's just record this as a partial refund, let's say of $1,000. So we're going to go to income. And let's say you gave your customer, half a 50% discount, or refunded them half of their invoice. So that's 1,000. Make sure you choose the right tax. And you could say refund on sale. On sale, and then the invoice, you could type in an invoice number. That could be a good idea again. And make sure you type in the negative sign, right? And then you see what's happened on the right side. You've got the $952 before tax, because the total of the refund was 1,000, and then of course the taxes get deducted. Then you've ended up, instead of a $2,000 sale, it's a $1,000 sale minus taxes, and that'll be the end of it. Again, you're going to end up with the same date here. So if you wanted, similar to the other example, if you wanted to have two different dates, then set it up as a second entry. This particular entry I just did, set it up as a separate entry if you like, instead of putting it both on one like I did here. So it's up to you. You could delete it. You could set it up as a secondary entry here, although you'd be sitting with the same date, or you set it up as a completely separate entry, and just record a negative when you do the entry. So anyway, that's all there's to it. Hope you found that video helpful.